Hello and welcome to Healthier and Happier Humans, episode 28. I'm Ashley McGee and I am super excited to be joined by Amie Glazier. Amie, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you doing tonight?
I'm good. I'm in a different setup right now, but we adapt. So, uh,
Yes.
tell me a little bit about yourself.
Well, I am a military spouse, and I am the co-owner of Military Moms Blog. And we just create resources and content relevant to parenting and the military. And in a previous life, I am also a pre- and postnatal personal trainer. I feel like I've done a lot of different things in my life. But when my oldest was really little, I did some mom and me boot camps, and I did personal training, and I worked really closely with pregnant women and postpartum women, helping them in their fitness goals. Like I said, I am a military spouse, and my husband is stationed, or I guess we are stationed outside the Seattle area.
Oh, wow.
And today was the first warm day. In my opinion, we just moved here from Florida, and today it got above 55 degrees. And I was like, hallelujah, flip-flops. And we played outside all day. But yeah, so I have 4 kids. The youngest, which is 3 months. My oldest is 5. And we're just living the dream in Washington State.
Oh, that's awesome. I partially claim Washington as a state I grew up. So I grew up in Washington and Idaho. So I am familiar with the gloom surrounding Seattle. um,
Yeah.
but it does have really, really nice days. And just a plug for your kids. My favorite place in the world was the Pacific Science Center. So if it's still going strong, I highly recommend it.
Yes. I am excited. We moved here and we settled in about just a couple of weeks before the quarantine started. So I'm really excited to, when this is all passed and we can get out and explore our environment. We have a long list of really cool things to check out here.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I'm so excited to talk to you about pre and postnatal health and fitness. Personally, I think about a year away. We're going to start trying next year. So I have, yeah, I have baby on the brain a lot and how I'm going to balance that. And I also, put it out to my audience and asked what questions people had. And have quite a few women in my audience that are dealing with issues from C-sections, trying to recover from that. I'm going to say this wrong. Diastasis recti? Recta? I don't know how to say it.
Uh-huh. There are multiple ways, and every way is probably wrong. So however you say it works well.
Yeah. So, a lot of questions surrounding not only, movement and exercise, but also like eating healthy and balancing that with like breastfeeding, which are all things that I'm like, I didn't even know that I need to worry about yet. But now I'm like, okay, I want to know more. So, to start, let's dig into it. I'm really curious what, when you're like starting getting pregnant, doing all that, like how do you maintain an exercise routine? Like how do you maintain that, especially if someone is a gym rat, like how do you do that safely?
Well, let me set your expectations correctly that you cannot maintain it for your entire pregnancy. I will be completely honest. At some point, everyone, even Olympic athletes, will have to modify, scale back. But the good news is that according to the ACOG, the Association of, oh my gosh, my brain is totally fried. But basically all the cool scientists, the doctors, all the research says that any workout that your body is familiar with for the 3 months before getting pregnant, you are safe to continue all the way through pregnancy as long as your body feels capable and as long as your doctor okays it. So that's like all good case of scenario. that, you know, you have a healthy pregnancy, there's no complications, there's no reason that you should be doing anything else. And if there is, your doctor will always tell you that. But you're safe to continue whatever you've been doing previous to pregnancy. And if you haven't been working out previous to pregnancy, this is a great time to start too, because a healthy mom is a healthy baby. And even if it's as simple as just going for a walk, you know, and just practicing those functional movements. If you think about what are a lot of the movements that new moms have to do, you have to pick up a car seat, right? And carry it. You have to bend down to pick up a baby and, you know, hold a baby like this, or, you know, just functional movements like that. If those are not things that you're used to doing in your routine, then that's great workout to do. That's what I always tell my moms, you know, to do, it's hard to just explain this without physically showing you. But you know, like a good morning where you literally just keep your back straight, you bend down, pick something up and stand up, like, you know, simple things like that. There's a lot of things you can start doing that are very safe and healthy.
That makes so much sense, and it never would have occurred to me that there was like a timeline in there. I've always felt like, if anything, upper body strength is like where you need it as a mom, because like I hold someone else's kids for like 10 minutes. I'm like, how do you do this all day? Like, I lift weights and I can't do this.
Yeah, mothering should be an Olympic sport, right? You know, with all the things that moms have to do and go through and carry. And, you know, I'll be walking down the street. I have, you know, so I have a 5-year-old, a 3-year-old, or almost 4-year-old, and almost 2-year-old, and a 3-month-old, you know, and I'm chasing the 5-year-old and the 3-year-old, holding the 2-year-old and the 3-month-old. People are like, can I help you with that? As I'm opening the car with my foot. I was like, I've done this a million times, but I appreciate the offer. Yeah.
The best is when they're like, oh, I would have helped you if you asked. And it's like, thanks.
Fine.
So, so then on the flip side of that, right? How do you, quote, bounce back after giving birth?
Well, anyone who's given birth knows that you just don't bounce for a long time, right? There's just parts of your body that function differently, you know. And I always, I always tell my moms that, you know, it took you 9 months to gain the weight, and it is realistic and to expect to take 9 months or more to lose the weight. There's always that black sheep that comes in and you know, it's a woman 4 weeks after giving birth, and you're like, were you ever pregnant? I can't even tell, you know. But that's not the reality for most of us. Yeah. I know for myself, after giving birth 4 times, for me it takes about like 10 to 12 months to really fully fit back into my pre-pregnancy clothes if I work, you know, if I'm consistent with it. But my best advice is just to start slow, you know, get back into the routine of things. Whether you were really, really active during pregnancy or not, it's still going to take you some time to build that strength. Giving birth truly is a marathon. It's something you need to train for, you need to train your body for, and you also need to give your body time to recover. You know, and that's why they always say that 6 weeks is so important. Because your body really does need that time to heal. So my best advice to bounce back is to snuggle your baby, and just take it one step at a time, and just let go of all your expectations of needing to be in shape, get back to those pre-pregnancy clothes, you know, really enjoy that 4th trimester with your baby, and enjoy that time of rest. That's the best way to bounce back. You know, and then after that, you know, start walking. You know, it just depends on what it looks like for you. Start walking, start getting into a fitness routine, go to the gym, you know. And there's a lot of different resources out there of how to get pregnant or postpartum women back into exercise. And probably one of the best things I can recommend is seeing a physical therapist, a women's physical therapist specifically for your pelvic floor, because that always gets overlooked. And there are so many different things. You mentioned diastasis recti, and prolapse and hernia and all sorts of things that are just so wrapped up in your abdominal and your core and your pelvic floor that just get overlooked, and things that, troubles that continue for years and years after childbirth that no one associates with that. So I recommend to everybody, whether you're feeling healthy, feeling well or not, always get checked out by a pelvic floor physical therapist before you really start to get into some vigorous exercise.
Wow. Okay. Um, Such good advice. Like I just didn't even know that was a thing. Like never would have occurred to me. So, but let me ask, especially with this weird world we're living in right now, and for service members and their spouses that may be deployed and may not have ready access, are there any exercises that they can do kind of at home on their own to help with things like recovering from, hernia or like back pain, stuff like that?
Yeah. There's a lot. And I always say focus on the core, the pelvic floor and the core. Even, 5 minutes after giving birth, you can do Kegels and start strengthening that core. And and whether you're doing anything, whether, actual exercise or just functional daily movements, if you just constantly think about lifting your core high and tight, which kind of like a good metaphor to think of, especially for newly pregnant women, is if you think of sucking your baby or giving your baby a hug high and tight, sucking your belly button in up through your spine. If you think of your pelvic floor, it's kind of like a paper, and you just want to think about sucking that paper up and lifting it up high. And that engages all of your core muscles as well, in an isometric hold, just kind of stabilizes everything. And so that is always the place to start. So whether, you're reaching behind you to grab something, just always think about, strengthening and holding that core in and tight. And that's always a good place to start.
Okay. That definitely makes sense. Yeah. And then, so we've been talking a little bit about like the body, like physical side of it. But one of the questions I was asked for this interview was how do you eat healthy while not messing with your breast milk supply? And I didn't know those things were mutually exclusive. So can you please explain?
Yeah. And I will preface this that this is not in my wheelhouse. I am not a dietitian. I'm not a nutritionalist. I'm a mom with fitness experience. And this was a question I had too, because I consider myself more on the athletic side and do more vigorous exercise. And as a breastfeeding mom, that has always been a concern of how do I fuel my body well while also fueling my baby's body well, because obviously that is the most important thing. And a lot of advice out there is just don't do it then. Don't do heavy exercise. And that's in my personal opinion, that's not always the answer for everybody. But as a mom, I did seek out some dietitians and nutritionists and some sports nutritionists. And the best advice I got from them was eat when you're hungry. Simple enough. If your body's telling you're hungry, drink water and eat. And when you eat, make sure that you're, common sense, fruits, vegetables, fiber, protein, all the things that are components of just a healthy diet in general, choose those things. And just whenever your body is telling you to eat until your body tells you it's full. So again, this is just the advice that was given to me. I'm not a dietitian. I'm not a nutritionist. But that's just something that I've lived by as I've been a breastfeeding mom, and it's held true even during pregnancy too. If I was hungry, I would just eat. And I have to say, even as a fitness professional, that's always been my diet advice. Just to listen to your body, because your body will always tell you what you need and when you need it, and to never underestimate the importance of water. Water. If you feel hungry, drink water first.
Yes. Oh my gosh. I totally agree 100%. And And I love that you brought up, the intuitive eating aspect too, because I feel so often, like, especially, it's almost like the diet and like fitness culture, like, doesn't want us to realize that we can just listen to our body. We've been, so like misled, or so people are scared. They're like, well, what do I do? I don't. And I think the other thing too is it's kind of hard to OD on healthy food. I mean, really, if you think about it,
Yeah.
right?
I mean, as long as you stop when your body tells you you're full, yeah, And I will say that this is just advice for the general population. There are very specific populations who have genuine dietary concerns, who have allergies, who have celiacs, who have whatever else. And it is so important that you are working with a nutritionist or a dietitian to make sure that in your special instance that, that's still the case, that you're fueling your body and your baby's body well.
Yeah, of course. I mean, totally makes sense. And that's the other thing too, is like there is no like one size fits all, right? It's about learning and seeking expertise when we need it. Yeah. So I had an interesting question that I have no idea what to do with. Can you tell I'm a little out of my element here? It's fun though. I love it. What's really happening is I'm gathering a group of women that know way more about this than me. And so when I do finally get pregnant, I'm just gonna call all y'all back up and be like, help me, I don't know what I'm doing. It's my grandmaster.
Gladly. It takes a village, right?
Yeah. I was like, hey, want to come on my health show? And then also, can you just like teach me how to be a mom, like when that happens? Anyway. But so one of them in my audience, and she's a military spouse, stationed overseas, and she said that so she had a baby 4 months ago, C-section, and she's still experiencing like numbness. What is that? Yeah, numbness, and she said extreme back pain.
Again, that's not my wheelhouse. I highly suggest she talks to her doctor, because I mean, it could be a whole host of things, and our bodies are so beautiful and so complicated, and they don't heal at the same rate, and it just depends, and if she had a C-section, that there could be other things involved and at play there. And I wish I could give her an answer. That would be so wonderful. I'd say, well, actually, this is what's going on and this is what you should do. But that's, there's so many different things. So I highly recommend that she talks to her doctor, as well as, again, go see a physical therapist, go see someone who can just help her go. Because if it's a muscular thing, if it has to do with her core, then that's going to be someone who can help her target those specific muscles to strengthen those muscles, then to complement a fitness routine as well.
And do you know, have you used any of those services like within like kind of the military medical route, or did you usually have to get referrals like outside of that? Because I know that's always a huge question too, is like, how do you even get to see these people?
Yes and yes. I've spent half of my pregnancies and postpartum periods on TRICARE Prime, and then the second half of them on TRICARE Select. So I've seen both sides. I've seen civilian providers, I've seen military providers, and it also depends on your state too. Like some states, you can see a physical therapist directly without a referral if you have TRICARE Select. With TRICARE Prime, you have to get a referral for everything you do. But you just have to kind of look. I know Florida specifically is a direct access state for physical therapy, and you can just you can just make an appointment with one. You don't have to have a referral. So some other states might be like that, maybe not. But it's great. I mean, TRICARE offers so many different options. One of the things that I love, I could get on a soapbox and tell you guys about this all day long. But Military OneSource is fantastic. They have so many great resources. from financial resources to like mental health and counseling, which I strongly suggest that every postpartum woman has some sort of counseling, because there's going to be so many things that pop up, and that's a big part of fitness and being healthy, realizing that maybe this is baby blues, maybe this is something more, but it's worth getting checked out anyways. And with Military One Source, you can get 12 free sessions covered without a referral. You call them and a human answers on the first ring, and that's unheard of. Like, I love Military One Source. But they also, along with the mental health counseling, they also do like dietary counseling, career counseling. I mean, all sorts of stuff like that. So that's a great resource on top of talking to your PCM, physical therapy, and just getting involved in your military community too. Finding other spouses, other moms who have the same motivation, the same age kids, want to go out running, want to go out walking. I love Stroller Warriors. It's a free military running club for spouses at a lot of bases worldwide. They're a great resource as well. Whether you're a runner or not, whether you want to start running, it's just a good group of people to get involved who have the same mission and to get healthy and fit together.
That's so good. And I'm so glad you brought up Military One Source, because I feel like that is one of those resources that, you're right, it's so good and we forget about it all the time. I mean, I've definitely used the counseling services, and it's great. I mean, it's so quick, it's so easy. And and I think as active duty as well, because I'm dual military, I'm a military spouse, I'm also active. A lot of times active duty service members worry that like it will like affect their record or affect their clearance, and it's a great resource that is not going to hurt your career. If anything, it will help it, because you're getting the help that you need.
Yes. And yeah, I know. And it's and again, Military One Source, I promise they're not paying me or anything. I just truly love them. But they also offer telecounseling. I don't know what's the proper word for that. Obviously no one's going in person to see these counselors, but they do it over the phone and over video chat as well. They always have. That's always an option.
Yeah, it's awesome. Well, this has been so informative. I've learned so much, and I am going to continue, hopefully, learning more from you. So I'd love, tell us where we can find you to get more Amie.
Yeah. Well, again, I'm the co-owner of Military Moms Blog, so you can find us at militarymomsblog.com, or on Facebook and Instagram at Military Mom Collective. And you can follow me on Instagram. I'm at mrs.amielou, AMIELOU. And I have, currently I'm going through Amie's Days of Deployment is my hashtag. And I've done the postpartum to half marathon. That's another one of my hashtags to just follow along in my health and wellness journey. Awesome. And I'm actually going through my third postpartum to half marathon journey. Well, I would be if I could really go anywhere outside my house. So yeah, you're welcome to follow along and continue the conversation with me there.
That's awesome. Well, Amie, thank you so much for coming on. Thank you so much for your time, and bear with me with my weird technical stuff and that I'm in a dark room and I look like a ghost. It's fine. But it's been truly a delight to have you on, and I'm looking forward to collaborating more with you and seeing more from you in the future.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I appreciate being your guest tonight. Thank you.
All right. Well, have a good night, and everyone keep on living your healthiest and most abundant life. We'll talk soon.